talking about discipline with a wise customer of ours. Thank you, Kristen Pierce. She's going to be embarrassed when she hears that. And she said something that stuck. She said, you can run a tight ship or a shipwreck. Choice is yours. Now, in the VUCA world of construction, subcontractors are always putting out daily fires, so they're very selective about where they dedicate their efforts. And it's usually around controlling labor. Now, material and equipment sometimes suffer, or the processes around the management of materials and equipment suffer and inevitably become the shipwreck portion of the business. We change that game. We have always kicked ass with material management. And more recently, we are now crushing it with heavy equipment management and prefab manufacturing. Now remember, Plexxis has a live connection between bidding, field, and finance. So this is the estimating side. I'll go to rates and quantities, materials, so you can see how we break out the materials on this specific example, which is a landscaping bid. Remember, we handle all trades. Now, if I go over to reports, I want to show you something pretty cool here. This is a simple material list, but if I hit this filter, look at all the different perspectives I can mine this bid with from a material perspective. I can go by the location, labor groups, the assembly categories, locations, stages. Now, when I go to rates and quantities, you can see the standard pricing that is in the common shared database for the entire organization. Now watch this. When I go over to the project management and accounting system, refer to the job startup video to see how we bring the bids in and start up the jobs and execute the pre-con process. It's really cool. So for this example though, fast forward, we've got the job's already in Plexxis, and you want to come in and do a price comparison. This is where we can select 1 to 3 vendors, send out a price request, get that pricing back in the system so it will override the standard pricing that was in the bid when you send out purchase orders. Okay, so speaking of purchase orders, watch this. I'm going to go in and open up a open purchase order that is already in edit. Now, you have many different ways that you can complete a purchase order. I can come in here and select a vendor and start typing in materials. I can go to the item picker and select materials this way. Because we have a live connection between bidding, field, and finance, and the bids or the working budgets are brought over in such a great level of detail, I can come into the estimated versus actual and right click and add materials this way. Or even better, if you have a strong pre-con process and the working budget is broken out in a way that is reflective of how the job is going to be built out, you can come into the estimated materials and go by stage, go by subsection, like pick an area of the job that you want to order. So I could literally come in here and just say, you know what, I want 100% of all these materials, and it'll automatically add it to the PO. And if I go to email this out, this is connected to Outlook, of course, it's telling me that before this document goes out, you are going over quantity or over budget. So I come to the approvals tab, and you have two options here. I can route it if you want to if you're okay with slowing the job down and keeping the process a little bit tighter, you can route this approval to the necessary people to give you the go-ahead. Or if you do have the authority to approve it, you can come in here and take responsibility for this decision. And when this goes out, this now locks it down and it becomes a committed cost on the job. Now, several things happened here. One, became a committed cost of the job. It's reflected in the estimated versus actual. Two, it locked the PO down. So if I need to make an adjustment to this, I have to unlock it. And when I do unlock it, it'll automatically create a revision. Every single document in Plexxis has revision tracking. So every revision is tracked, and the person who made any adjustments is tracked in the software. So it is a full accountability management platform. Now, the other thing that happened here, remember, there's a live connection between bidding, field, and finance. So the purchase order went to the app, but when it went to the app, the dollars are stripped out. Every document that goes to the app It shows quantities or relevant details that the field needs to know in order to make sure that the proper materials arrive. Now, when the materials do arrive, they can take a picture of the packing slip and make any notes relating to any materials that did not show up, or let's say there is some materials damaged. And that information comes right back to AP. So when they're receiving the information, they can click receipt, see any notes or information relating to backlogged items. And when they're ready, when they adjust this receipt, they can just create the bill and boom, you are done. Now it doesn't stop there. So when I bring up the app, remember the field also gets a live material breakout and labor breakout. So when they go to the materials, they will see their live material breakout with purchased and remaining and percent spent. And they can also break it out by the areas that have been brought over in the working budget. Now, let's go one step further. I'm going to close all this down and show you a job master report. Let me step out of the way here. It's easier this way. Okay, job master, there we go. Print up this. This is a report that you can schedule on a weekly basis. So it hits, automatically hits a distribution list at the frequency that you set. So you don't even have to go in here and generate the report. But what you'll see here is a high-level status of the job, showing a contract, extras revised, any pending and projected revised. Then, of course, you're going to see those committed costs for labor, separate committed cost for subcontractors, because we do have a separate subcontractor management system that will segregate that cost, so your committed cost is not skewed. And then, of course, if this job had equipment, you would see the separate committed cost for equipment as well. Now I scroll down, we see some high-level status reports, a 10-week snapshot of how the job is trending, all your open pending agreements, which there's none on this one, labor, materials, and if we had some equipment. Now, let me get out of this and show you this menu right here. So we have recently got into heavy equipment management, and this is really cool. So coming here, you are able to cost equipment effectively to the jobs. As you can see here, if I cycle through these menus. Now this deserves a deep dive in itself. In fact, material management, heavy equipment management, and our prefab manufacturing really do deserve a deep dive demo on their own because they're so freaking amazing.